Hiya, and welcome back to Far Beyond the World, the game that teaches us that Ranok is a lying piece of shit. I literally logged on and chose violence. Seriously, I'm not mad at him at all. I'm serious. I'm not mad at all. I'm serious. I'm not angry at all. I'm not angry at all. Anyways, let's just hop right in. That's going to bug the fuck out of me. By the light's grace, it's a human, as I live and breathe. Oi, young fella, come here just a moment. A stocky yet tired-looking farmer waves at us, emerging from behind the wall. He's been doing some weed control, judging by his earth-stained clothing and a rusty sickle covered in sticky greenery. Ignore him. Why? I shrug, approaching the still-waving tiger. I'm not going to pass my first interaction with an outsider. Besides, I'm mighty curious how my language hopping skill will play out. Considering you're about to abandon me here, your opinion doesn't matter much anymore. I state bluntly and approach the farmer. Hello there, curious company you have. Indeed. I cast my reluctant gaze towards the wolf. You look quite weary. You've traveled far? About 70 miles, give or take. 70 miles? My, that's quite a journey you had. Wasn't all that bad, but this weather makes it less agreeable. The tiger chuckles softly and nods. I bet it does. Seems to me you're in dire need of some refreshments. He rubs his chin. I have cool milk and some cheese and jerky in the larder. I'm happy to share. If you'd like, there's also a bottle of old port I've opened but a day ago. That sounds lovely, actually. No time. Ranok utters harshly as he joins us, but the farmer pays him no mind. Of course there's time! The boy's exhausted, can't you see? Carrying your load, no less. I shiver at the unfortunate choice of words when my attention is drawn to Ranok's suddenly clunky speech. Strandbard. Must be today. You wouldn't reach the city until the 8th hour, and by then, everyone there gets mad like a bag of bees. The rounded male laughs, shaking his head and pulling on his jacket. No, it's much better for you to rest up and get there by evening. Come. He doesn't relent, bidding us to walk towards the gate, which he opens invitingly. I, for one, am inclined to follow, as I'm still stewing over our morning exchange. Besides, I've wanted to meet another kin ever since I woke up. Talking tigers, indeed. And on the subject of talking, he seems to understand me perfectly. You live here alone? I ask as I follow the male towards his humble-looking cottage. In all respects, it looks very much like Ranok's house, which to my annoyance makes me incredibly homesick and sad. I won't get to see it ever again. No, usually my wife and daughter keep me company, but they're away now, visiting their grandmother a village over. The male chatters on, opening the door and guiding me inside with a swish of his paw. Well, this is nice. It's hard to pay attention to what he's saying over my constantly shifting mood, but I'm pulled back into the conversation by his last words. She's taken ill, most likely. It'll be her last spring. They're saying goodbyes. Shouldn't you be there with them? And who would look after my herd? Their sheep and cattle going missing every night. Missing? Thieves and ruffians, most likely. I've been lucky thus far, but some of my neighbors lost as much as half of their livestock. The city guards supposedly do what they can, but it's not like the rich folk in their fancy houses have to worry about us peons out here. He scoffs dismissively, gesturing towards the table. Please, sit. My home is your home, but yes, I'm needed here. Besides, we have never seen eye to eye, she and I. Better she goes in peace than be forced to endure my sight. So what will it be, cool milk or mulled wine? I smile, both has blunt words and an anxious rubbing of his paws. He seems genuinely happy to have guests, so I decide to relax and state my curiosity. Mulled? Boiled with spice and herbs. It'll warm you up on this chilly morning in a flash. That sounds quite lovely, if it wouldn't be too much trouble. No trouble at all, if I'll get to wet my whiskers as well. He laughs and walks over to a large brick stove. There's a fire going deep inside its bellows, with 2 pots bopping in a merry rhythm of the boiling contents. Make yourself comfortable. The furniture ain't much, but I've never been an artisan. He mutters as he fills a pot with wine and sets it on one of the metal rigs. I look down to the bench which we're seated. It's simple, true, but comfortable. Functional is always better than pretty, I say. Pretty things tend not to last long. You've made them yourself? Indeed. Why waste money on some overpriced city ponds when I can cut wood just as well? I smile, noticing Ranok tracing his paws across the armrest, clearly admiring the craftsmanship, while the tiger rummages through his cupboards. Gentle flickers of the wolf's tail tells me he's quite pleased with another man's work, and I'm almost taken in by it. Almost. It doesn't take me long to remind myself that I am angry with him. Before I get to sour my mood again, the farmer plops a wooden plate in front of us, filled with some smoked meats and cheeses. Here you go. Eat up while I get the wine ready. Thank you. I nod, idly picking at the food as not to appear ungrateful. The food is nice, but I'm not very hungry, both on the count of a filling breakfast and the fact that my stomach is now tied in knots. The manners are lost on Ranok, however, who simply looks around in complete disinterest. I've noticed the collar, dear boy. I hope you're not in any trouble. I know what those mean. He says softly, taking advantage of Ranok's distracted state. No trouble at all. I shake my head. I've gotten so used to it that I keep forgetting about the damn thing. I really don't need a scene caused by a well-meaning person trying to rescue me. In fact, I'm being escorted to the city. Kind of your master. One rarely sees a wolf releasing a slave, let alone escort him. The male whispers under his breath and returns to the counter. I'm not a slave. Glad to hear it, boy, but how did you end up with that collar then? It was a gift. I sigh, and again, my mood is taking a turn for the worse. I wear it as a sign of appreciation, but truth be told, I might as well take it off. You better. Doesn't send the right signal around these parts. He nods, returning to the stove and tinkering with various little boxes. For a moment, I consider his advice, but I don't think I'm emotionally strong enough to part with the collar just yet. I grew too attached to it. I simply rest my chin against my hands and wait as the cottage fills with a cozy smell. Very reminiscent of Christmas. Must be all the spices and herbs he's mixing in. Does he speak tigery, or is he purposefully rude? The farmer bobs his head towards Ranok, whose gaze is glued to the window and the world beyond. It's very obvious that the wolf would rather be out there than here. As he doesn't respond, I finally elbow him, drawing a reaction from the male. No, me speak, he mutters reluctantly. Little to talk. His broken speech leaves no doubt we've all switched to tigery, and my confusion mirrors that of the farmer. Must be a struggle. The male shrugs and decides to let the wolf be, returning his attention to me. So, how did one of our own end up in the custody of a wolf? I was ambushed in the woods and left there to die. Oh my, what has the world come to? He frowns, stopping his stirring for a moment and facing me with a worried expression. I don't remember much of it, but this wolf saved my life. Now that is a story one doesn't often hear. A wolf saving a life instead of taking it. Wolves not killers. Ranok's ears fall flat as he gives the tiger a challenging stare. It's evident that he pays attention to the conversation despite appearing disinterested. The farmer just scratches his head in feigned confusion. Aren't they? Pardon me then. It just seems an impression they so tirelessly try to give. Your kind is neither farmers nor herders. You don't live of the land, you live of others, and that hardly comes by without violence. He says in a stern voice, and I can see Ranok's body tensing up. I place my hand on his hip, letting him know that I really don't want a scene. We're guests here, after all. Thankfully, the tiger simply says his piece and moves on, bringing over the boiling pot to the table. Either way, what's done is done. He pours a generous share into a large mug and pushes it over to me. Here you are. The tiger smiles, continuing to distribute drinks while I take hold of the warm mug. It feels nice to have the heat seep into my skin through the clay, but the smell, oh, it's near intoxicating. I take an impatient sip, and my tongue is hit by a symphony of flavors I haven't felt in, well, ever. The wine is fruitier than a regular one, and somehow sweet and tart at the same time, almost as if someone melted a berry-flavored lollipop. I moan, taking the experience in with satisfaction. The herbs and spices push the whole thing over the edge, delivering a pleasant warming sensation radiating down my throat. Thanks, but no drink. The wolf refuses, either suspicious of the fragrant beverage, or simply in protest against the previous words of our host. Are you sure? It's delicious. I leave it here in case you change your mind. If not, more for me and the wee lad. I wouldn't mind seconds. I gasp between greedy mouthfuls. It's absolutely wonderful. Whatever you did to it, it worked like a charm. I feel warm inside already. Haha, see? What did I tell ya? The tiger laughs, taking a celebratory sip from his own cup, but seeing Ranok just sitting there, he gently nudges the third one towards him. How about you, warrior? You sure you don't want to give it a try? I doubt you have much spice laying around in those woods. Ranok just gives him a telling fuck off stare, and I feel slightly sorry I brought it on to this extremely hospitable tiger. But to my relief, the farmer's taking it in strides and simply shrugs. He seems to be broody type, doesn't he? Then again, wolves are known for their dislike of us. I don't think it's that, sir. I finally decide to pitch in, the delicious wine quickly restoring my more generous mood. Please don't take it personally. Ranok is many things, but a bigot is not one of them. Oh? I nod affirmingly. Well, that's a testimonial any kin would be proud to wear on their sleeve. If only he made it believable. The tiger responds with clear doubt, and I can't blame him. But I also can't blame Ranok. Today is just not a good day for either of us, and the strain of being exposed like this is apparent on the wolf's pleading muzzle. Leave, please? No, I need a break, and I need someone's company. I respond, looking at him with a slightly apologetic gaze. If this is our last few days together, I don't want to say something to you I might regret. The tiger is the only thing ensuring I can be civil about this. He nearly whimpers, but I notice a somewhat confused, borderline shocked expression from the tiger, which indicates I've just spoken Wolven in front of him. I don't want to disrespect our host like this. I shake my head, finally facing the tiger. Please forgive me, sir. No, not at all. Quite interesting to see an otherkin wield the wolfen tongue like that. He still struggles to get rid of his puzzled expression and rubs his chin awkwardly. I'm sorry if I'm a bit spellbound, but as you can imagine, not much happens on this road. Well, nothing good at least. You and that wolf are close, I take it? Yes. I reply reluctantly as the last question felt awfully loaded. Please don't take my forwardness as an insult, but one does not live on this good old earth as long as I do without picking up a thing or two. There seems to be some tension here. Yes, we're having a disagreement. Oh? I shuffle slightly in my seat, unnerved by his intense stare, but at the same time, it would be good to talk it out with someone, even if it means venting out just the gist of things. He's made me a promise that he now refuses to keep. My promises are serious things. The farmer muses, taking a prolonged slurp and giving a curious glance to the wolf. Especially between friends. I take it that's what you are? Ranok meets his gaze and nods, clearly aware of the conversation. Listen to me, wolf. Kin come in all shapes and sizes, and they always stick to their own. He says in a rather harsh tone, preceded by a kinder look in my direction. Bridging that natural chasm takes a soul that soars above all other, for it sees beyond what's temporal. If light blessed you and crossed your path with such a spirit, you do not let go so easily, for they are 1 in a million. I like this guy. He's like the wise, he's like the tiger version of Uncle Iroh from Avatar: The Last Airbender. I like him. He's nice. Oh god, he even kind of looks like him. Like, in a weird way. Like, in a weird way, he kind of looks like him. Like, look at this shit. He even kind of looks like Uncle Iroh. Like, oh my god. Kind of looks like him, too. You seem to be one of them yourself. I smiled gently, returning the compliment between the sips of the mulled wine. Ha, maybe. Wasn't always the case. The tiger shrugs. I used to be wary of strangers, be they otherkin or tiger. In fact, if you saw a tiger in these parts who wasn't local, you could be sure that he was either an imperial agent looking to tax ye, or a noble bored out of his wits chasing adventure. The male scoffs into the distance. Only two certain things in life, death and taxes. Ha! Well spoken, my lad. Well spoken indeed. He laughs at my quip, and I decide to entertain this shift in conversation. It's a good distraction from my current predicament. I can understand the drive to seek adventure, too. It's nice to shake up one's life. Perhaps, but nobles don't shake up theirs. Usually it's us wee folk who end up shaken, either for gold or left with a burning scar to mend over the following decades. The farmer's tone of voice takes an unexpectedly somber turn. What do you mean? I wasn't born yet, but it wasn't too long ago for us to forget. A bored noble encroached on the wolven territory, committed some foolishness, and that resulted in a war. The tiger sighs heavily and swaps places with Ranok, him looking warily into the world beyond the window, and my wolf finally looking indoors towards us. That war engulfed everything all the way to Strandbard. Burned farms, killed livestock, countless lives lost. But the Tigers won the war. Did we? Wait, yeah. Didn't feel much like winning, not to us, wee folk at least. He scoffs yet again. This land is desolate and barren. Hundreds of families slaughtered or fled, never to return. They might call it the Heartland, but in truth, it became a wasteland. Nobles are fine, of course. He jeers, taking a long, spiteful swig of his cup. They've retreated to their stone keeps and palaces, never to be touched. Yes, my friend, adventures might be fine for the folk bored of living. Us, we just want to live, and life thrives best in peace and quiet. You lost someone? Ranok asks, taking me by surprise. His gaze turns soft as he looks to the tiger with intent, almost as if he read his troubled mind. I didn't realize he was listening. My grandfather and his brother died defending their home long enough for Grandma to flee with my infant father. There isn't a farmstead in a 50-mile radius that didn't lose someone. Me sorry, deep sorry. Ranok utters with a gentle voice, and at first the tiger is taken aback, but then he laughs. Ha! May the light have mercy. What a day! He shakes his head in amusement. To hear an apology from the lips of a wolf, light does work in mysterious ways. It truly does. The farmer rubs a tear from the corner of his eyes. And so it falls on to me to offer the same. I'm truly sorry for your losses. I know what the battle mage has done to your forest and the price you paid for your defiance, all because some damn fool poked his nose where it didn't belong. May the great dark swallow his soul. I drink to that. Ranok smiles softly and takes up his cup, clinking it merrily with the tiger. I'm not sure what I'm surprised by the most. The fact that those two, at first glance, stark contrasting characters found a common ground, or that the story I've heard from the first night is more nuanced than I originally thought. It wasn't just wolves versus tigers at all. Within the tribe itself, there's a rift between generations caused by a shift of values. And here in the wider world, that rift exists between social classes. Some things never change. Old people grow older and more stubborn, while rich get richer and increasingly detached from those beneath them. Thank you for your hospitality and an open heart, I mutter, looking to the tiger with genuine awe. Come to think of it, this simple gesture might actually cost him quite a bit. This spread could as well be his lunch he decided to share with us. The spice and herbs could be a luxury he spent months or years saving up for. It's the least I could do. This world was born out of darkness, and one day it'll plunge right back into it. Our duty is to keep it bright for as long as there is breath in our bodies. To be the flickering flame that chases away the shadows. I smile. He's very religious, that's evident, a follower of the light Ranok likes to mock so much. But in all honesty, I don't see anything silly here. Just a generous soul with a rather realistic, if not bleak, outlook for the world around them. How could he be any different when his life is full of hardship? Indeed, the least we can do is help those in need. I find myself agreeing with the man. If only the whole world worked like that. I add with slight resignation in my voice, to which Ranok begins rummaging in his purse. He pulls out a small coin and places it on the table, as one would do at a bar. Here, for thanks. He says in a rather confident tone, and both the farmer and I look at the money with confusion. A silver claw? Oh no, that's way too much. I did not invite strangers in my house to shake them down for coin. The tiger, although at first surprised, quickly becomes offended. This money be good, daughter to care, sad wife from death. The wolf tries to convince him as best he can, and despite his crude words, the tiger considers this for a moment before returning to fervently shaking his head. No, no, no. This is a good fortnight of hard labor. I couldn't just take it. I couldn't justify it. The port was only 12 copper, 25 if you count all spice that went into it. Good. Refill bag if any left. Ranok pats his wineskin and approaches the cupboard where the bottle stands. The farmer gets to his feet and frantically argues with the wolf, who slowly uncorks the bag. That's still too much. Perhaps if you were to break it? No, small. Sorry. Ranok shrugs and begins to carefully refill the wineskin. It's really fine, sir. Perhaps on his way back you could host him again and thus even the scale? I pitch in, drawing a gentle swing of Ranok's tail. The farmer thinks about it for a moment, poking his chin, and he then reluctantly nods. Yes, that could work. I could also offer some to the priest for a prayer, so that the light keeps you in its grace. Money yours now, do as must, but light not living. The wolf says calmly, licking his palm clean of spillage as some wine trickled from the seal between the bottleneck and the leather bag. Light no eat, no drink. It need no money, it waste. Same could be said for your moon goddess. The tiger scoffs in part amusement and annoyance, to which Ranok chuckles. I know. That why Shino asked for money. Okay, let's not get distracted here. I laugh at their petty exchange. It's a good deed Ranok has done, and I'm sure you'll be able to make wise use of the money according to your needs and beliefs. I propose a compromise, and they both look at me for a second before reluctantly nodding in agreement. Once the last drop of wine is transferred to the skin, Ranok plugs it and hangs it securely from his belt. There, we go now. He nods towards the door, and I decide that perhaps this visit has gone as long as it should. I hastily empty the mug, stuffing my face with the last bite of a mild cheese before rushing to his side. The wine radiates from my belly like a small ember, shielding me slightly against the cold and still rainy world. Again, thank you very much for the hospitality. Not at all. Thank you for blessing my house with your presence. Blessing? I blink confused, looking to Ranok for an explanation. Tiger custom. Guest his blessing. He says crudely, and I turn towards the farmer as he leads us to the gate. That's because we believe light is in each and every one of us. Inviting a stranger into your home is like inviting the light itself. If you make a dimmed candle shine brighter, you've done the world a service. I mean, I guess I can see that. Be nice to guest is good until guest kills you and takes your gold. Ranok blurts out, and I look at him wide-eyed until I'm even more shocked by the tiger bursting out in laughter as he pats the wolf on the shoulder. That may be true if you live in a palace with spare gold to be taken. Caution is not exclusive with generosity, my friend. If someone came to rob and kill me, it wasn't for the gold or my generosity. It was because they saw struggling downtrodden and wanted to snuff out that flickering flame to begin with. That's awfully morbid. And true. Some people live only to see this world burn. The male finally loses a sense of levity and speaks more seriously. A farmer like me, living in this remote, forsaken part of Avalon, is no target for desperate thieves. No, if I die, I'll die because I crossed paths with a wicked soul, and then a lack of invitation wouldn't save this old cat from being cut down to size. I shudder at the comment, but to my surprise, Ranok smiles. Stay safe, tiger friend. I see you on way back. Should be 2 nights. I'll look forward to our meeting, Master Wolf. And I hope you'll enjoy your stay in Strandbard. It's no Furry run, nor Tiger run for that matter, but to us small folk, it's grand enough. I'm sure I'll enjoy it as much as I can. I say with an evident lack of enthusiasm, as I'm reminded yet again that I'm heading there only to be abandoned. With our goodbyes exchanged, we're back on the road, and although we cover the first mile or so in relative silence, I can feel that part of the prior tension between us was alleviated, and I, for one, am glad for it, even though I still hold on to some resentment. Your tigeree seems excellent. The wolf states plainly, not even looking in my direction. Not that it surprises me, I knew you were one of them. If you say so. I shrug, not willing to entertain this topic again. I'm quite done with people telling me who I am or what I'm supposed to be. Besides, this language hopping is so confusing that I have no patience for it right now. Now my mind is more preoccupied with what's to come, and I'm not looking forward to it. The hours go by with the sun continuing its shallow arch across the gloomy sky. For the most part, Ranok gives me space, as he should, but it only worsens my mood. I guess his attention is divided between me and the water soaking his fur. He made it clear he doesn't enjoy the rain, and I can see now why. The skies have been drenching us for a while now, and despite water gliding off my skin, the clothes I wear have become heavy and waterlogged. I can only imagine the extra weight he carries within his fur. With a deflated posture and tail tucked close to his gambeson, he's indeed in a sorry state. My heart craves to strike a conversation, but my mind prevails, and I hold my peace. And so does he. With my emotional struggle between anger and sadness, talking could quickly devolve into another argument, and that's the last thing I want. I simply admire the scenery, the farmland growing lusher and denser with more elaborate houses dotting the field the closer we get to Strandbard. Once we clear one of the many rolling hills descending from the height of Turn, we can see the city in the distance, nestled comfortably within a small valley. It is very compact, with houses tightly huddled within modest stone walls, but it doesn't stop the city from looking mighty impressive. Wow, that is both surprising and pretty much expected at the same time. I voice my thoughts, not sure why I'm taken aback by a perfect example of a medieval town. I guess it's still the reality of it all slowly sinking in. This world is real, no matter what the voices try to convince me of. It's real and vibrant and buzzing with life. Even from this small hill, I can see people crowding the main streets like ants, all chasing after their designated tasks of the day. Why is it called Strandbard? It's because of the stranded bard inn. Wolf states matter-of-factly. During the Tigery Rebellion, 3 battles took place in this area, with different armies marching up and down. He points into the distant hills and his tail flicks softly, betraying happiness at this temporary accord between us. Not wanting to be caught in all the fighting, a bard stayed with a local farmer while the war raged on around them. To pay his way, he performed, drawing crowds from the local war-stricken villages. In the end, he stayed here for a decade and the farmer opened an inn. The Stranded Bard. I smiled at the realization. It's right there, see? That long roof with 3 dormers? He points to a huge structure on the left hand of the city. Yeah. A village quickly grew around it. Not long after that, the village grew into a city. To this day, the citizens of Strandbard pride themselves in sheltering refugees from foreign... I get it. I grumble in annoyance, feeling a clumsy pitch incoming. I don't need to be sold on a place I have no part in choosing. But instead of spiraling into another argument, I decide to take a deep breath and look to the sky. Hiya! Judging by the setting sun and the darkness creeping on the opposite side of the horizon, it's very close to 5 p.m. What hour would you say it is? A late one, that's for sure. Wolf responds stiffly, clearly unhappy with how delayed our arrival has gotten. Well, true, but more specifically, I'd say 9th, maybe 10th. Pretty much any official business will have to wait till tomorrow. How does the count work exactly? He looks at me with slight surprise, but quickly shrugs it off. I guess he's used by now to my amnesia, leaving me entirely clueless for even the most obvious of things. You count the hours from the sunrise. The first hour starts at the break of dawn. Ranok says in that unintentionally condescending tone and a nod in hesitant gratitude. The sunrise was probably around 7, which would mean that it's indeed 5 p.m. Huh, I'm getting quite good at this. I guess the lack of clocks isn't something as jarring as I initially thought. One gets used to the natural rhythm of things dictated by the world around them rather than some artificial gizmo. I pull on the backpack strap, readjusting it slightly, and we get on the move again. It doesn't take long to cover the distance between us and the gate, which grew nearer and nearer with each step. I smile at the sound of a milling wheel gently treading water next to the bridge. First I thought it was a moat surrounding the city, but it seems to be an actual brook. The brook itself is wide enough to warrant a double-arched bridge, providing a natural barrier on the city's western side. Thus, a single watchtower overlooking the crossing is all that's needed to ensure safety. Who goes there? A tigery guard steps forward and blocks the gate. He's young but stern-looking, clad in chainmail armor. You, declare yourself. We pass. Stay at inn. Ranok responds casually, causing the soldier to narrow his brows. You're not one of our locals, are you? And what is he supposed to be? Livestock brought to be sold at the market. Very funny, now beat it, we don't need jesters. He sneers, causing Ranok to straighten up in a more challenging stance. We enter. No, you do not. I would have to be insane to let a fully armed, overgrown mongrel like you enter our peaceful city. Take your bed warmer and go back to whatever wooden hovel you crawled out of. Ranok. I put a hand on the wolf's shoulder, trying to calm him down before things needlessly escalate. As much as I'd enjoy watching him eat a healthy serving of a humble pie, I'm soaked in cold, and I'd very much rather spend the night in a cozy tavern than a damp dungeon cell. There's no need for insults, sir. Oh, now you've learned some manners. For the last time, state your business or get lost. No business with you. I meet Chief. Ranok issues a soft growl and the guard scoffs. Ha! That will be the day. Now beat it. I have no time to waste on the likes of you. We enter. Oh, only over my dead body. Draw that sword and make my day. He barks out, posturing with his spear aimed directly at us. I'm half worried an actual fight might erupt, but those fears are quickly dismissed when another soldier emerges from the gate. What's the meaning of this, Private? He speaks in a calm, collected manner and... This is Tony the Tiger after he lost his job as the cereal mascot. He speaks in a calm, collected manner, and judging by his words and much more elaborate armor, he's a superior. Captain, sir, I tried to send away This riffraff, but they persist despite my warnings. I'll handle this. State your business, strangers, and make it brief. The captain's words are just as harsh as his inquisitive gaze. I look to Ranok with worry, but the wolf is settled, clearly coping better with someone in authority. We enter, meeting with Tiger Chief. You don't speak the language. I see. It doesn't fill me with confidence that you're one of our own. What's that supposed to mean? I blurt out, caught off guard by the comment, and the captain gives me a grim look. Our wolves speak Tigery. I'm not sure what you mean by your wolves, good sir, but I can assure you that we've just come from Turnin, and there are very few speak your tongue. I state plainly, trying not to appear intimidated, which causes the tiger to take a second look at me and my attire. The dress finally came in handy, and he turns to his subordinate in confusion. This is no riffraff. Are you both blind and deaf? Can't you hear the way he speaks? He stifles an annoyed growl and looks back to me with a much changed expression. It's soft and almost deferential. Forgive me, my lord. My men might be strict, but we were given orders to be wary of strangers traveling on the western road. I notice an aggravating smirk on Ranok's muzzle. After all, the tiger thinks I'm a noble. Oh, how come? There's been rumors of strange individuals roaming the countryside. Many fear the woven spies, which, I hope, explains our slight suspicion of your companion. The captain gives Ranok another, this time more careful and courteous look, and to dispel any of his doubt, I decide to take over the exchange. Ranok's language barrier doesn't exactly help our cause here. We have a letter of introduction penned by the chief of Turnin himself. Would a spy present himself with such a document? Stranger things have happened in the last months, my friend. The tiger sighs, nodding in the distance. There's been an armed group of marauders from across the seas scouring the area. I do not doubt your sincerity, but you cannot begrudge me my caution either. He is a wolf after all. Of course, but he is no spy. I can assure you of that. I look to Ranok and flash my brows at the letter he has stashed behind his belt. Reluctantly, he removes it and passes it on to the tiger, who scrutinizes the seal. Those foreign wolves are part of the reason why we've come here. We were sent to meet with Lord Magistrate to treat with him and establish diplomatic relations between Strandbard and the Turnin tribe. Ranok, son of Varrock, as he say, Turnin. I've heard of your father. The captain scratches his chin, passing the unsealed envelope back to the wolf. For his sake, I hope you don't intend to follow in his paw prints. Me, envoy. Meet with the Tiger Chief. Ranok reiterates through his teeth, oddly stirred by that ominous comment, which is evident in an annoyed flicker of his tail. The magistrate. The tiger corrects. But yes, I suppose you have a right of entry. But sir, was that an unprompted opinion, private? He throws harshly at the guard for butting in, and the soldier moves back a few paces with a somewhat worried expression. No. Good. Then I take it you've just volunteered for latrine duty. The captain sneers and looks to us apologetically. You may go, my friends, but tread carefully, especially you. He narrows his eyes at Ranok. No funny business, Wolf. We always had little patience for your kind around here. Nowadays less than ever before. And with that warning, we're allowed through. As we pass the gate, we're greeted with a small square. 3 streets open up onto it, pouring out various kins rushing in the late hours of the day. But before I can take all of this in, my eyes venture to Ranok. He's clearly unhappy with the warm greeting we've received, and I place my hand on his tense shoulder. You can't really blame them. You've heard from the farmer and now the guards. There are wolves running rampant through their countryside. Not our wolves, that's for sure. He brushes my hand off and I simply shake my head. It doesn't matter. They're all scared, and they have good reasons to. Imagine if what happened in the northern groves happened here. I don't think we would even be admitted. I try to laugh it off, but he's buried too deep in his thoughts. He feels dejected and almost defeated, and for a moment, I forgot about our ongoing spat. Whatever's the matter. I feel useless. I can't speak with them. He kept prattling on while I just stood there like an idiot. My smile widens with each of his words to the wolf's annoyance. It's not funny. I mean, it kinda is. You must admit, it's a little bit ironic. How so? Our roles reversed? I shrug teasingly, but he doesn't take kindly to it. It's not the same. You speak Wolven. I do, but I can't. I do, but I can't. Same result. I mean, you do understand what's being said, don't you? Yes, of course I do. He sneers. It's just when it comes to uttering the words, it's hard to find the right ones. I never really spoke the language other than learning how to read. Most books, after all, are written in Tigery. See, it's the same thing. I just spent all that time knowing what's being said without being able to speak up. Ugh. He groans heavily and speeds up his pace, clearly losing patience with the conversation. In truth, I'm not that interested in dragging this further either, so I simply drop it. The short-lived amusement of the situation quickly loses its appeal, and I shift my attention to admiring the new setting. At first, the city seems an extension of the depressing countryside, drabby, dreary-looking, stretching forward from the gate and crowding the poorly cobbled road on either side. There's an improvised gutter running through this middle of the street, guiding the slushing mud and rainwater down towards the moat as the city steadily climbs upwards. Although more diverse than in Turnen, the citizenry looks as tired and downcast as I am, scurrying about their business in the persisting rain, their clothes stained with mud at the edges. Despite the farmer's earlier enthusiasm, I met here with an air of clear indifference. There are some curious passing glances, but on the whole, I'm just treated as another kin rushing through the street. The tigers are a clear majority here, and I can spot an odd lion or an otter, which is mind-blowing to say the least. I expected to be gawked at, but instead I'm the one doing the gawking. There's even an occasional wolf, spotting a curious tattoo underneath the left eye. In fact, as we continue towards the city's center, I count 3 more, all giving us rather suspicious and almost hostile gazes, and each of them with the same symbol on their left cheek, an upward-facing crescent with a droplet beneath it. What's that about? I break our silence, nodding subtly to yet another wolf standing underneath an archway. They all have the same tattoo. It's not a tattoo. Ranok responds solemnly. It's a brand, a weeping moon, a mark of a banished wolf. All wolves here were banished? Not all, but most. He concedes through a heavy sigh. Some left Turnen on their own accord, but those who were forced out got branded. That's horrible! I blurt out in clear disgust, but he only gives me this telltale patronizing look. There are 6 tribes, many of them have very little control over the outer packs. A banished wolf with little importance could simply avoid punishment by sneaking into another tribe with us none the wiser. This way, we know who broke our laws and cannot be trusted. I still think it's a bit extreme. I continue, unconvinced by his explanation seemingly taken straight out of the Scarlet Letter. Branding people, that's just barbarity. Thankfully, that's no longer your burden to carry. Ranok issues another, this time exasperated sigh and looks to me sternly, pulling on my arm. I know you have a penchant for seeking out trouble, but do not trifle with any of those wolves. I try to flinch away, but he only tightens his grip. I am serious. We do not banish our own lightly. Most of these wolves committed a heinous crime or sacrilege, or were found out to bed other males. I throw in harshly, finally pulling my arm free from his paw. At first he's taken aback by my defiance, but quickly renews his hold. Trust me, you can be snide all you want, but far more wolves were banished for murder or thievery than for buggering other male. Tana was caught red-pot and even admitted to the whole thing, yet he still remains within the tribe. As a laughingstock, I give him a challenging gaze and then look back to his paw, still very much tightened around my wrist. Reluctantly, he lets go, either to avoid causing a scene as some passerbys started paying attention to our increasingly heated exchange, or because he realizes that he begins to cross some boundaries. You're just like him, stubborn and always acting like you know best. I decide to ignore that. You all kept saying how being defective could end in banishment, only if you're unapologetic about it. My eyes shoot wide open. There's nothing to be apologetic about. There is if you stubbornly and selfishly put your own whim and desires ahead of the needs of your people. He cuts me off coldly. Each of us has our place and role to play. You, of all people, said you understand that. I guess that was a lie. No, it wasn't, but this? Seriously, I do not want to talk about things you clearly do not understand. He brushes his paw at me in dismissal. Chalk us up to savage primitives if you must, I don't care. But you have any wits about you, you will stay away from the Weeping Moon. Those wolves will hurt you, especially if they learn where you came from and how privileged your position has been. Privileged? I nearly choke at this somewhat inappropriate assessment. But then again, my indignation is met with his indifference. Yes, privileged, the wolf states coldly. In case you forgot, you are an otherkin who broke our sacred laws and encroached on our lands. Many were killed for less. Those who were banished by their own kin certainly would see this as an insult. You think Aldris was out to get you? He asks with a slight tone of mockery in his voice. To her, you were just a pawn to use against my father. To them, this would be personal. In fact, some might even think they could redeem themselves if they only got to bring your little pink head back to their respective chiefs. I swallow heavily at his final words, almost thrown at me with his last strength to maintain composure. His chest is rattled and he breathes heavily. I can see he's upset. He worries. He might mask it behind an outburst, but that's the only way to move forward without further heartbreak. He wants me to hate him. It would be easier for him if I did. I lock my eyes between his tucked tail, which completely derails his feigned angered stance, and I nod softly. Okay, I will stay clear of the weeping moon, I promise. I try to keep my voice from quivering as this realization shifted my anger towards sadness and despair. I really don't want to stay here on my own, but his mind seems to be made up. We continue our journey into the city in silence, and the deeper we get, the nicer the surroundings. The houses up ahead begin to shift into a more pleasant type, well-built, tall stone structures with decorative colonnades and terraces. But to my surprise, we take a sharp turn into one of the alleyways, which, compared even to the first leg of the main street, looks off-putting. It's a dark and unpaved with overhanging upper floors nearly touching in the center, creating a foreboding tunnel. The moisture leaks down the walls and gathers on the road, meaning that we're now trudging through mud with my boots, drawing an audible pop whenever I pull them out of the muck. Why are we here? I thought that we would stay at the famous inn, I mutter, not really sure where he's taking us. The Stranded Bard is not a place you simply get into. Unless you are a famous bard, a prominent patron, or one of their regulars. That inn is off limits. So we'll be staying in a slum. It's not a slum. This place was recommended to me by Vither. He and a few others stayed here each time they visited. When was that? A whole generation ago? I scoff, having to dislodge my left foot from the sludge by hand. Seriously, this looks bad because of the weather. I give him a challenging stare. This place wouldn't look appealing even if you'd give it a paint job. Stop your complaining, we're here. Ranok points to his sign slowly bopping on the wind. The Broken Keg. Despite my misgivings about the place, the sound of revelry taking place inside is quite reassuring, and the golden glow of the lights flooding the street from inside the window is very inviting. I guess it could work. I shrug and allow the wolf to lead us inside. At first, we're met with the typical Western greeting, a silence falling over the gathered and every eye locked on us. There's even an odd cough coming from the back of the room. But within seconds, the patrons return to their merriment, and the hall fills with the clanking of mugs and cheers yet again. Ah, Master Wolf. A short yet stout tiger rushes to greet us, bowing gracefully in front of Ranok. Forgive us our wariness. We don't allow the disgraced ones in this locale. Disgraced ones? I find myself asking in confusion. The ones with the marking. They're no good troublemakers, the lot of them. But you're more than welcome. Please, come. He bids us to follow and Ranok shrugs. We approach the bar and I look around. It's a cramped establishment and quite worn down, but the customers don't seem to mind. There's a group of lions and leopards playing dice at the central table, to the utter amusement of the gathered, while on the sides I can spot odd pairs of various canines, cats, and even a boar. Utterly bizarre. So, what can I do you for? Meal, beer, and room. Ah, full service. The barkeep rubs his paws excitedly. We are quite full, you know. Might be hard to squeeze you in. Ranok pulls out a silver coin from his pouch and plops it onto the counter. Well, there's also two of you. Had it been just one... With an exasperated sigh, the wolf adds yet another. I suppose you'd also want a bath with this mud and... Ranok slams his paw onto the counter, drawing the attention of the few nearby customers, only to reveal a third coin. Take it or we leave. You know what? I'm sure something can be arranged. Sylph. He snaps his fingers at one of the bunny waitresses. Yeah, boss? Could you help those two to one of our premium bedrooms? Sure thing, boss. The girl rushes to our side and extends her paw towards me. Let me help you with that sugar. Oh, sure. I take off the backpack and pass it to her, drawing a loud groan from the bunny. Oh boy, did you stuff a whole pig in there? Jeez. Do you need help with that? The barkeep pointed towards the chest on Ranok's shoulder, to which the wolf shifts away. No, me good. Very well. The tiger raises his paws in defeat. Off you go, Sylph will take good care of you. And Sylph? Yeah, boss? Prepare a bath for our guests while I get the refreshments ready. Sure thing, boss. The bunny rushes off, grabbing one of the several candle holders on a shelf next to the hallway, and we follow. Last time I checked, this was far beyond the world, not Harry Potter. I swear to God, I saw this hallway and the first thing that came to mind was Harry Potter. After scaling a rickety flight of stairs, we end up in a dilapidated and dark corridor stretching the entire length of the building. There's only one small window at the very far end overlooking a narrow space between the inn and the next building, giving in effect as much light as a door gap would. It's awfully dark. Don't worry, I know my way around. The girl responds cheerily and continues on while I struggle to find my footing, especially in my dirty makeshift shoes. Every now and then, a bout of cheer and laughs echoes from beneath the wooden panels and rushes up the stairs behind us. Eventually, we come to a spot in front of the second to the last doorway, when the female bunny begins to rummage around her waist. An iron ring of keys jingles merrily as she shuffles through them. Nope, not that one. Not that one either. Oop, here we are. She shoves the key into the door and the lock opens with a satisfying click. Once the doors are thrown ajar, she leads us in and drops the backpack to the ground. The room is spacious enough, but old, with evident wear and tear and very little care given to its maintenance. And of course, there's only one double bed. The girl begins to light up the candles in the room, using hers as a source of fire, bringing some life into this otherwise unwelcoming place. Will I need a sensor soon? Like, will I need to? When she's done, she leaves the candle holder on a cupboard and disappears, only to return okay. Are we going to hear awful Yamate Kudasai sounds? When she's done, she leaves the candle holder on a cupboard and disappears, only to return momentarily with a shovel filled with burning coals. She deposits them into two braziers on each side of the room, and they immediately begin to radiate warmth. I place myself next to one of them to dry off and soak up some of that heat when the girl nods towards a large wooden bath next to the window. I'll get the water ready. Shouldn't be too long. Would you like me to brew you some tisane while you wait? Tisane? We have chamomile, nectar, and hyacinth or lavender. Oh, you mean herbal tea. No such luck, I'm afraid. We're not fine enough an establishment to carry tea, but the tisane should help you warm up just the same. Sure, what would you suggest? I see. You're pretty cold. Nettle and hyacinth should put life into your step. It also stimulates appetite, while the other two would put you right to bed. Nettle and hyacinth it is, then. I'll get that right up. She wastes no time and closes the doors behind her while I give Ranok a rather uncomfortable look. What? This place is interesting. It's fine by me. It's a shack, and I'm saying that after staying in a forest cabin. Is it not rising to my lord's expectations? A muffled groan escapes my lips, but before I can quit back, my attention is taken elsewhere. Oh my god! Oh my god, I'm just gonna take my headphones off for a minute. Oh my god. Oh god. They're doing the horizontal cha-cha. The right angle Macarena. Oh god. I look towards the left wall as I can hear the squeaking of the nearby bed and an unapologetic moaning of a couple in quite the spirited throes of passion, judging by the occasional lustful growls issued by the male. The rhythmic thumping doesn't leave much. I can still hear it. I can still hear it from my headphones. Oh god. The rhythmic thumping doesn't leave much to the imagination. He's banging the female like one would be hammering a stubborn nail that refuses to give in. To my surprise, I'm much less fazed by this than Ranok is. The wolf is visibly getting uncomfortable and flushed, deciding to distract himself by needlessly rummaging through our luggage. At least one couple here is having fun. I decide to comment at a rather comical high-pitched squeal from the skewered lady. Stop it. He demands, thumping his tail anxiously against the floor. I'm just saying, doesn't seem like they're having a bad time. It comes with the territory. Inns like this inevitably invite a more rowdy clientele. There's a loud tumble coming from the next room, suggesting a rather rough change of position, followed by... Oh, God! There's a loud tumble coming from the next room, suggesting a rather rough change of position, followed by an increased pounding of flesh against the wooden floor. Even the planks in our room began to dance to the rhythm. Oh my God! Oh my God! They're rowdy, all right. I mumble awkwardly, unable to resist my straying thoughts from conjuring an image of Ranok and me engaging in an equally lustful union. I can only assume he's doing the same, as the wolf just squats there looking into the backpack with his back turned towards me. He doesn't bother to pretend to even be looking for something anymore. I think he's simply... Nope. 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 Fuck that. Fuck that. Nope. 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 We stay like this, frozen in time for what feels like an eternity of sexual torture, listening to the crescendo of moans and huffs until inevitably, with the ever-increasing tempo, the couple next door arrives at the glorious conclusion. The female issues a moan of satisfaction, drawn out only by a throaty roar from what I assume to be a large feline counterpart. After that, dead silence, only disturbed by their strained gasps for air and occasional cheer echoing from the hall beneath. Oh my God! We don't kink shame around these parts, but holy fuck. We dare not to move, nor to look at each other. We just sit and stare blankly into the distance while the couple next door tidies up and eventually leaves the room to join the revelry downstairs. Finally, our door cracks open and the bunny enters with a folded linen cloth in one pot and a copper pot in the other. Oh my God! That was awful! She places the pot onto a brazier, allowing it to retain its heat while she starts to unfurl the cloth over the bath. She's lining it diligently, but eventually stops and looks at us, two frozen statues giving either a confused gaze. Something the matter, my sweets? Oh, Ranok clears his throat and I blink back to life. No, all good, thoughts far away. Or in this case, a room away. Right, me and the girls will bring up the water. Do you like your bath hot or tepid? Ranok looks back at me and I shrug. Hot will be nice. Hot will be nice, not too hot though, as he say. The wolf nods and the female rushes towards the door, stopping briefly. Do you want any oils or petals? We have dried spring flowers and I think there should be a vial of rose essence somewhere. We know girls. We know girls. Ranok's tone takes on a scornful note, but I decide a little indulgence wouldn't hurt. I might be a girl then, because to me that sounds lovely. Where is it? Here we go. The bunny gives Ranok another look, seeking affirmation as he's the paying customer after all, and the wolf concedes with a reluctant nod. When she leaves and the doors close, he gives me a taunting stink eye. First scented soap, now this? We've been 4 days on the road, most of today wading through mud. I'd like to rest up. I muttered defensively, drawing a sigh of frustration from the wolf. Fine. What does it matter when you're clearly going to be the biggest flower in that bath? The serving girls, 6 in total, enter the room in a long, continuous chain, each carrying a steaming bucket and carefully emptying it into the bath, after which, one after another, they rush downstairs to start the process anew. We observe in silence, slightly inconvenienced by this constant stream of strangers entering and exiting, but after 3 rounds, the bath is ready. Sylph is peppering the water surface with dried flowers and a gentle dab adding a dash of fragrant oil here and there. The room gets quite pleasantly steamy, with a hint of rose in the air, and once all is prepped and ready, the bunny gestures towards the bath. Thank you. I have left warm towels next to the brazier. They should hold for a while, but I wouldn't tarry. Of course. I nod, and with that, she bops her head merrily and leaves the room. We stand there both cross-armed and darting our gazes between each other in the steamy bath. Okay, yeah, no. I don't care. I'm hiding it. I ain't risking shit. So, how should we do this? As before, you need to go first. I leave plenty of fur behind. Won't they change the water? That would be pretty extravagant. But it will get dirty. Not if you scrub excess dirt before you enter. The wolf scoffs in this obvious tone of his, and I shake my head in mild amusement. I begin to undress nonchalantly, despite the awkwardness of our still ongoing disagreement. Ranok, aware of how inappropriate this situation is, decides to avert his gaze, but his ears and tail remain perked up and alert, almost as if he was stalking prey. I decide to indulge my ego a bit and slow down the pace, almost trying to be seductive, yet remaining within proper boundaries. He can't help himself, and I notice a less than discreet glances directed at me whenever a piece of garment flops to the floor. Finally, I allow the loincloth to unmake itself and fall freely as I take careful steps towards the bath. I check the water with my hand, and it's wonderful. Hot enough to sting at first, but not enough to burn. The howling of the wind outside, aided by the whistling of our window, serve as enough of an invitation to hop in. I climb over the side, first dipping my toes to adjust to the new temperature. Knowing there is no easier way to do this, I simply step in, standing in hot water up to my knees. Fuck, it's hot! I yelp, jumping from one foot to another and drawing Ranok's attention, who now, completely embarrassed, is looking directly at my dangling family jewels. He leaps back, almost as if it was him dunked into this boiling vat, stumbling to the floor and frantically shielding his gaze, while I, the idiot I am, decide to dive down to cover myself. Boiled eggs and stewed ham, that's how I describe the first few seconds of that experience. Thankfully, to distract me from the burning stings, I have a front view of the ashamed Ranok scrambling back to his feet and sitting on the bed, with his tail tucked repentantly. It's more than hilarious, and I can't forget about any initial discomfort. Then, it's just pure bliss. My body eases into the new surroundings, allowing me to relax, and it's as if all my aching muscles released a collective sigh of relief. This is wonderful. I groaned, taking in the warmth and the floral aroma permeating the air. I'm glad you're enjoying yourself. The wolf responds awkwardly, still very much diverting his gaze, and despite being at odds, I decide to ease his stress. Come on, it's not like it's anything you haven't seen. I know, it's just... He cuts off, looking around in distress and sighing. I don't know. Felt wrong. You can leave if you like. I can fetch you once I'm done. I shrug, and the male looks to me at first in shock and then in deference. Oh, yes, perhaps that would be best. He reluctantly gets up and sluggishly approaches the door. If he tries to hide his sorrow, he does a poor job of it, as both his ears and tail are tucked, and I release an exasperated sigh. Do you want to leave? Do you want me to? Seriously? We're still doing this will he won't he crap? I splay my arms in mild frustration, splashing some water around. You're angry with me. Of course I'm fucking angry. Furious would be the word I'd use, but at the same time, we don't need to act like we just met. That's just insulting. I didn't mean to insult. I meant for both of us. I cut him off yet again, taking a deep breath and trying to come across as genuine as I possibly could, given the circumstance. You might be a dickhead, but we did things together, and we do find each other attractive. Why pretend like the last 2 weeks didn't happen? I just don't know what to do. This is all very new to me. Not leaving me alone in the shithole would be a fine start. I roll my eyes. But since we can't have that, might as well act natural around each other in those last few moments together. The wolf nods and returns to the bed while I splay myself in the water. As I rest against the top of the tub, a sharp pain shoots down my spine and I groan. Fuck, my back is killing me. I issue a strained complaint while trying to rub my shoulder out. Seeing this, the wolf perks up and without any hesitation, steps forward with a soft smile. Would you like me to give you a massage? He mutters awkwardly, quickly realizing how it sounded and correcting himself. As a tit for a tat, of course, you gave me one as well, after all. At first, I'm taken aback by the proposal and almost refuse, only to realize that despite my anger, my body could really use a rub-down. It's really a win-win. Sure, that sounds nice. I concede through a nod. A ploy or not, what I got to lose? He's not going to super abandon me, now is he? And this way, at least I'm getting a massage out of this. He takes off his sword and pauldron, which, to be fair, I was surprised he was still carrying around. I took the first moment to possibly ditch my burden. I guess it shows how self-disciplined he really is. The wolf takes a slow U-bend around the bath and places himself beside me. I lean forward in anticipation of his paws making contact. His touch is firm but measured as he applies pressure where needed and kneads my muscles like a stubborn sourdough. Ooh, damn, this feels good. I moan and I can hear I've drawn happy taps of his tail with the compliment. He continues working on my back, slowly softening the tensed tendons, and I feel at least a week younger, which in my case is nearly half of my lifespan. Deciding to carry on with my indulgence, I looked towards the copper pot steaming at the brazier and bobbed my head towards the wolf. Would you pass me a cup of that tea, or whatever she called it? Tisane? He corrects me while fetching a mug and filling it up with a hot beverage. Tea would involve actual tea, even I know that. Imagine that, a knowledgeable savage. I flash my brows coyly as he passes me the drink, and a sharp pinch to my upper trapezoid causes me to yelp. Oof, okay, point taken. I laugh, taking a conciliatory tip of the tisane. It has a curious flavor to it. There's a hint of sweetness from the hyacinth, but above all else, it tastes like a thin vegetable stock with a slight spice to it. It is pretty good and complements the bathing experience a ton, especially accompanied by the now resumed massage. Ranok hits the spot every time, like a marksman honing in on a target, striking each strained muscle with great precision. You sure know what you're doing. Your skin bruised a little, he mutters with worry, trailing stinging marks left by the backpack, but I dismiss him with a wave of my hand. It's nothing, it'll heal. I've been stabbed, remember? I snort and the wolf murmurs uncomfortably. Yeah. My feet are blistering though, I would need a pair of proper shoes. We can look for those at the market tomorrow. I'll make sure you have everything you need before. Let's not ruin the moment. I cut him off, despite the kind offer. Okay. I don't want to be reminded of tomorrow. We're here and now. I allow him to pamper me for some time, but eventually we change places. Hold up, can I just... Yeah, we're safe for a little bit. To my surprise, he's not too fussy about the temperature. Though it's been a while, the water is still very much steaming. Once I dry myself out and manage to dress up somewhat presentably, I decide to return the favor and ease his strained musculature. At first he protests in embarrassment, but I'm having none of it. If it were up to me, we'd be the ones stumbling across the room and making a glorious ruckus for all to hear, but I would not do that to either of us. It'd make this whole morbid affair even more painful come the morrow. Despite his earlier complaints, the wolf seems to enjoy himself quite a bit, with his fur soaking up all the perfumed water and making him smell fairly pleasant. If any of the wolves back home ever found out... Oh, hush, I can see you're enjoying it. That's what I meant. If any of the wolves found out, I'd be the next one Verissa brings a dress. I snort on his little joke and splash some water teasingly in his muzzle, causing him to sneeze. At first, I continue to rub his muscles calmly and collectedly, but it quickly becomes self-serving. It might be the last time I get to feel him up, so I let my hands wander wherever they may, and the wolf loves it. I'm really sorry. He speaks up with a solemn voice and looks back towards the window. I know you don't want to believe it, nor hear it, but I am. I know. I concede through a deep sigh. I'm more angry with the circumstance than with you. I still don't agree with your logic, but I also won't be forcing your paw. I'm no Tano. No, you aren't. You're much more mature than he ever was. The wolf smiles softly, placing his paw on top of my head and stopping the massage for a brief moment. Still, it's Tano we're talking about. The bar wasn't set high. You're childish enough at times. And he ruins the moment in a clumsy attempt at levity, forcing me to give him a stern look. It's not funny, not for me. You've made a promise. Look, I wasn't planning on just abandoning you, alright? He splays his arms in protest, splattering some of the water. You didn't even let me tell you the whole plan. Plan? I scoff, taking a begrudging sip of the tisane. What's the plan here, exactly? I just want you out of harm's way, that's all. The turmoil in turn is precisely something I don't want you involved in. But once things calm down and this whole howl mess is resolved, one way or another, I do intend to undertake those travels I told you about. Despite a slight shift in his tone, the wolf struggles to sound sincere, his body language betraying the actual depth of his own doubt. His ears, for one, are splayed back ever so slightly, and the tail remains motionless, even at the mentioned prospects of fulfilling his puphood dreams. Hollow words meant as an encouragement, as the future he presents is one he doesn't quite believe himself. I would have come back for you. He insists, sensing my distrust, and a nod softly. I know. I concede, resuming the massage. That part was never in question. Of that I am certain. What I'm not certain of is that you would be able to. Look here. Look, here in Strandbard, you'll be safe and thriving. We could do all the things we promised ourselves if you just stay here, because we cannot do them if you're dead. You underestimate me. My voice takes on a more assertive tone, and I squeeze harder at his bicep, but the wolf only rolls his eyes. And you're overestimating yourself. You're a naive, helpless halfling. Neither a pup nor a man. You can't even swing a sword. So, the world isn't made only of burly warriors like you. You are a walking target in a forest full of trained killers. So are you. Oh, wow, that is some luck. That is some luck. I splashed some water right into his muzzle, causing him to blink uncomfortably. You talk about me as if I'm a murder waiting to happen, but you aren't exactly invincible yourself. Your father was nearly taken out with a javelin. All it takes is a well-aimed arrow, so the size and combat prowess don't really matter much, do they? You have an answer for everything, don't you? He smacks his lips impatiently and shifts away in the tub, resting his paws against his knees. He's retracting like he usually does when a conversation isn't going his way. Ranok always did that with Verissa, and he did it with me on a few occasions, so I'm having none of it. Why can't you understand that you would be safer here than in Turnin? I can't guarantee your safety anymore. Here, you can live in comfort until I return. If you return, and even so, how long would that take? A year? I propose mockingly, and the wolf shrugs. Maybe, it very well could, but this is the best option we have. I cannot risk your life on a whim. But you aren't risking it. If you truly believe that I'm not your property, then you have to concede that I have the right to make my own decisions, that I have my own agency here. Bringing you back to Turnin would be a mistake. Then it's my own mistake to make. I reiterate, kneeling beside him and meeting his determined expression with equal zeal. You don't know the future. You cannot be certain of your own, let alone dictate mine, and if you want to talk about mistakes, leaving me here would be more idiotic than bringing me back. And why is that? Because you're playing right into Aldris's paw. I don't know if she pretends to be dumb or simply is dumb, but us doing what she accused you of wouldn't hurt her case, but rather strengthen it. My assessment catches him by surprise and his ears shoot up. You're right. My position is enormously privileged. I've seen the wolves who were banished here for lesser crimes. I've heard the price outer packs have paid for my trespass. Me being let go scot-free would be an insult to all and cause resentment and all sorts of conspiracies. I splay my hands for emphasis, and he sits back, rested against the tub and slightly more relaxed. He narrows his eyes and listens to me intently. Such as, the main one, that your father was in on all of this, and that I was some sort of political stunt people are yet to understand. You must see that the only way to save your father's seat is transparency. If you start muddling and omitting stuff, this will give Aldris everything she needs to steer the howl her way. Wolf rubs his chin uncomfortably, trailing his paw all the way to the back of his head and sighs. If I brought you back, she would use you against us. How? I ask impatiently. She can't question me. I'm a dumb ape, remember? It's not like my disappearance would disprove my existence in the first place. Me coming back not only shows that you're a wolf of honor, but also demonstrates that none of us has anything to hide. Me staying here not only suggests that there is more to my story than there really is, but also that all of you were involved in a cover-up. There's a war coming. I know. I was there. I've heard what happened. I sigh in frustration at this patronizing treatment. Do you really think I could just sit here waiting for news of the horrors taking place scant 4 days away? That if I didn't go mad from fear of your safety, I wouldn't decide to return on my own accord? Whatever happens to you, I don't want to be alone. I don't want to be alone. His tone softens and I hear him utter my name in such a loving manner causes butterflies in my stomach. He's taken aback by my words and I reach out into the water, holding his paw. I really don't want to stay here, and it's clear he doesn't want to leave me either. This is my life, a new life that I was given. I won't let anyone, even you, sideline me. My place is at your side. You know this. Deep inside, you know that we're meant to walk this path together. This is exactly the reason why I didn't want to tell you anything until we got here. He sighs heavily, retracting his paw. You have a way with words that can make complete madness sound logical. It was all pup talk. Why can't you see this? The wolf hangs his head in defeat. Think of me what you must, but I cannot willfully take you back knowing what price you could pay. I look at him with mild hurt in my eyes. I don't believe for 1 second that he truly dismisses all this fate talk from before. My anger, although subdued, is still lingering between the layers of anguish and betrayal. Look, even if I agreed with everything you said, even if I wanted to, what possible reason could I have to take you back, when I was expressly commanded by my father and Vither to leave you here? Which proves my point. Aldris wasn't just her old bitchy self, she was very much onto their scheme. Your father and his friend are their own undoing. Maybe, but it's not my place to question the chief, nor to naysay his advisor of many years. With them both wanting you gone, not even Varissa's hocus pocus could save your skin. He states with a slight hint of desperation in his voice and returns to scrubbing his fur, signaling that the conversation lasted as long as it possibly could. He's struggling with this whole mess as much as I do, and although I'm still cross with him, I'm not discouraged nor bitter. His mind might seem ultimately made up, but it's not by him alone, and I initially thought, but at the behest of others. Instead of pushing the issue further, I need to find more proof that the logic behind this idea is flawed and find some reason to revert this course. And in the end, if I'm unable to change his mind, there's no real point in digging my heels and picking up a fight if we were to part ways tomorrow. I'd rather we did so amicably, both leaving on good terms than have either of us harbor resentment. To his surprise, I dunk my hands into the water and pick up a washcloth, wringing it of excess moisture and helping to groom his fur in hard-to-reach spots. He's confused at first, but I can hear the water swirl slightly with the gentle movement of the submerged tail. Thank you. You're welcome, Fluff. I boop his nose with a gentle smile, drawing a reluctant chuckle from the male. Ranok takes as much time soaking as I did, and once he's done, I help him dry his fur. Yes, he's awkward and flustered about it, but again, nothing I didn't see nor done before. He takes a sharp inhale as I rush the towel across his groin and stifles a soft moan as I skim over the nether regions. Truthfully, this feels more like a paycheck for all the teasing I had to suffer than anything remotely gratifying. But I'd lie if I insisted that no part of me enjoyed it on some sort of level. And so does he, it would seem. Oh my god! I came to check if you need any more hot water. Sylph cuts off, opening the door and effectively catching me fondling the wolf who stands triumphantly splayed, with his tongue dangling out. Oh my, another one! Please forgive me. She yelps and jumps out, rushing the corridor, giggling. Ranok's already on the other side of the room, mortified while I share in the girls' merriment. Don't worry, seems the sort of thing is a norm around here. I chuckle, inviting him to return and allow me to finish the task at hand. Once he's all dried to the best of my ability, I stretch out lazily and yawn. This was very relaxing. I comment, leaving up my makeshift shoes next to the brazier to dry up, as that way it'll be easier to remove all the muck. For the time being, I'll have to be barefoot. Yeah, surprisingly, I don't take many plunge baths. The wolf admits with a shrug as he pulls up his pants. I open with the gambeson and belt, and once he's ready, we proceed to leave for dinner. We're gonna leave off here tonight. Still, I'm actually not mad at Ranok anymore. I feel bad for him. Aww. Yeah, I already checked. I don't know when it's going to be updated again. And it saddens me. Like, let me see what the latest version is, because I believe this is 4.8.3.3. Echoes of Arcane.itch.io, far beyond the world. Yeah, this is the latest build. Oh, fuck. Hang on, where's his Twitter? Related game... fuck. Can I, like, view all or go to his, like, account? Oh, shit. Fuck yeah. I'm, like, on his Twitter right now. I went to his Twitter. Gotta love this. Another... Okay, that was August 15th. It is the 20th. That was last week. That tweet was last week. Did he delay it? Did he, like, delay it? Because I'm pretty sure this is 4.8.3.3. And that tweet was released on August 15th. Yeah, I'm on the latest version. I don't know. Huh. Okay. Okay, I can't really think of much else to say, so... Stay safe, have a good night, and I'll see y'all tomorrow.